First at 4, President Biden visits a Ford auto plant with a roadmap for the future of the industry and its thousands of workers here in Michigan. Also breaking today, free at last. An immigrant who sought refuge in a Detroit church for years takes his first steps outside. Ben.
Karen, the 70s are going away, but temperatures continuing to climb into the weekend. How many records are actually in jeopardy? We'll look at it all right now. First at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, President Joe Biden brings the national spotlight to Dearborn. The president was talking about the future of manufacturing and infrastructure, but local Arab Americans are seizing the opportunity to get his attention. They protested his visit for days. We'll hear their pleas to the president in a minute, but first let's get to Kimberly Gill. And Kim, the president's goals for the auto industry are critical to Michigan's future.
Karen, good afternoon. President Biden says the decisions being made right now will affect how the auto industry moves forward over the next few decades. And it's no coincidence he's at the Ford Rouge plant today. Tomorrow, the auto company will reveal its all-electric Ford F-150 Lightning pickup truck. The president is pushing an electric vehicle plan worth $174 billion that supports battery production, charging stations, and encourages more innovation. The president says electric vehicles are the future of the auto industry. He came to Dearborn to make it clear he wants American union workers to come along for the ride. He says it's time for the industry and the country's infrastructure to adapt.
The real question is whether we'll lead or we'll fall behind in the race to the future, or whether we'll build these vehicles and the batteries that go in them here in the United States rely on other countries, or whether the jobs to build these vehicles and batteries are good-paying union jobs with benefits, jobs that will sustain and grow the middle class.
So President Joe Biden portrays himself as a president for working families, but at the same time, he wants to introduce a $93 trillion tax hike. He's costing Michigan tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs.
Michigan Republicans lined up this morning for a preemptive strike, criticizing the president and Governor Whitmer. Our coverage of the president's visit continues tonight at 5. For now, Karen, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Dearborn is home to the largest Arab and Muslim community in America. Many members of that community have a message for President Biden. They're closely watching how he handles the new violence between Israel and Palestinian militants. Members of the local community are frustrated with the eviction of Palestinians in East Jerusalem and disappointed the president isn't doing more to curtail Israeli military action.
We woke up to the outrageous news about President Biden approving the sale of $375 million in weapons to Israel. The same weapons that are being used to kill Palestinians in Gaza today in these moments. We are urgently calling on Biden to denounce the forced evictions for what they are, war crimes.
The president didn't directly address the situation in the Middle East during his remarks. Other than reassuring Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, he's hoping her family is safe in the West Bank, and he'll do everything to make sure they are. In the Middle East, violence and protests are spreading in this new devastating round of violence. Militants fired dozens of rockets from Gaza into Israel, which activated its Iron Dome defenses. At the same time, violence has erupted at protests in the occupied West Bank, and Israel continues to pound Gaza with a barrage of airstrikes. In Jerusalem, Palestinians observed a general strike, shutting down businesses to protest Israel's military action and policies they compare to apartheid. That's a claim Israel denies. This man walking out of a Detroit church is breaking news because of his long struggle to stay in the United States. We've been following the story of dead Ramsburg for years now. He's been living inside the Central United Methodist Church in Detroit for more than 3 long years during a deportation battle. Now, if he stepped one foot outside, he ran the risk of being sent away from his wife and sons. Well, he's finally reached a deal to avoid deportation, and he is very relieved. We just got this video into the newsroom. We'll have more on his story and what comes next on Local 4 News at 6. State of Michigan tweaking the rules for unemployment benefits connected to the COVID crisis. Starting May 30th, people receiving benefits will have to show they are actively searching for work. That requirement was waived back in March of 2020, but the state says it has no plans to end the $300 federal supplement going to 816,000 residents. Also today, the state is reporting more than 1,200 new cases of the virus, with the 7-day positivity rate dropping to 7%. We've also seen an additional 83 deaths, including 27 from a records review. Well, if you haven't turned the air conditioning on today, might be the day, maybe today or tomorrow. We're pushing into the 70s, and Ben is here with the latest. Are we going to reach 80 anytime today?
You know, it's going to be close. If we don't get there today, Karen, we will tomorrow, and then we're off to the races beyond that. Right now, we're at 76 in Detroit, but there are some spots that are flirting with 80. 79 in Port Huron, 79 in Adrian. Wind is out of the south, but it's relatively light. But we are also watching Storm Tracker 4. As these temperatures start to increase, there's just a very slightest chance that we could see a rogue shower or a thunderstorm, but we are not seeing anything right now in Storm Tracker 4. That chance gets much better tomorrow. Temperature trend, though, does start getting warmer. You can start seeing these above average temperatures really start to increase as we head towards the end of the week. So now the question is, how many records are actually in jeopardy? We will look at that and some changes to the weekend forecast. You'll want to hang around for that in a few minutes. Karen?
All right. Thank you, Ben. The U.S. Army is launching an urgent mission, and it could be a great opportunity for somebody you know. Military has been having some trouble finding recruits with COVID interruptions interfering with that usual recruitment effort. Well, today, Paula Tutman breaks down the numbers and the opportunities in the Army's National Hiring Days.
Well, the United States Army is looking for more than a few good men and women as COVID-19 has put a serious kink in recruitment efforts to find enlisted service people. The importance of what the Army needs in terms of recruits can be summed up in one simple question. You have everybody you need? Are you getting enough people? You got all the recruits you need?
No, Paula.
The United States Army is down recruits, partially because the trend year over year is that fewer young men and women are seeking service for their nation. But throw in COVID and you have a serious deficit in finding and reaching good candidates. In Michigan, we are down 130 recruits over this time last year. Now, that might not sound like much, but
It's not a lot until you look at across 50 states, right? So you can just imagine what we're talking about when you say we're talking about thousands of soldiers.
And so the Army has launched a campaign to recruit with a goal of finding and securing more than 1,700 soldiers before the Army's birthday. Anyone signing up between now and June 14th will get a $2,000 signing bonus and so much more.
Our population is aware of our soldiers as a infantry soldier with a rifle in moving out to gain ground in some foreign land. And although that is part of what we do as a military, we also have so many other occupations within the military, whether it's in the healthcare profession, in cyber, in all the different new technologies, advanced data analytics. All of those types of positions are available in the military.
And so for that high school student who doesn't know how to pay for college, or that everyday worker who wants to exchange a job for a career, the athlete who is great in college but won't go pro, the Army is looking for you today, right now.
We're saying, hey, we don't have enough right now, and we do need more people to step up and rise to the challenge.
I think about the wildfires out west. I think about some of the things that our National Guard and our reserve components that they do in our states. I think about all of the different missions that I've done around the world, whether it was peacekeeping operations or combat operations in any part of the world. Who would do that? And I would say that the person that's going to do that in the future very well could be listening today.
Paula Tutman, Local 4.
Again, the National Hiring Days will continue through June 14th. Don't forget, there is that $2,000 signing bonus for those who complete recruitment requirements. We'll put a direct link to the mission on our social media platforms, as well as clickondetroit.com. Still ahead, first at 4, could we see a new political dynasty in America? Another member of a famous family running for office. Also, fierce floods lead to hundreds of calls for help, and there's more to come before this disaster is over. But first, a new decision in a controversial police shooting, why the local district attorney says deputies were justified in the fatal shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. The very latest right after the break.